Trae Young and Luka Doncic. The controversial trade in the 2018 NBA draft is continuously brought up year by year as both players continue to progress into their careers. However, what really stands out is the lack of signature games they have against each other, despite their quick rise to stardom. Whenever they play each other, they struggle to find a rhythm offensively, and I don't think I need to even mention their defense. Here I'm going to look through the 8 games they played against each other so we can see what's been going on. They first met on October 24th, both 3 games into their rookie season. Trae just came off of his best game so far against the Cavs, scoring 35 points and dishing out 11 assists on 6 threes made. Luka was beginning to figure out his role in the offense, coming off of a 19-point, 3-rebound, and 6-assist game against the Bulls. Alright, so they're about to tip off, and is that Vince Carter? Okay, it was pretty obvious how bad this Hawks team was. I mean, they're starting a 41-year-old Vince Carter. Let that man get some rest. Anyways, the game was a relatively close one, despite the Mavericks dominating for the majority of the first half. Luka was playing a less ball-dominant role than we're used to now, taking spot-up threes, but also being able to create at will. Even with his lack of athleticism, his ability to navigate the offense with his slower pace and seek out wide-open shooters was already apparent in his 4th NBA game. He did struggle shooting this game though, missing multiple wide-open threes. Trae Young, on the other hand, was already carrying a heavy offensive load, but his small frame combined with average athleticism of a guard made finishing in traffic a challenging task. He was able to support the offense though, using drive and kick tactics, drawing in defensive attention. Despite the Mavericks having a 26-point lead at one point, the Hawks soon overcame that deficit. Trae Young picked it up in the last few minutes of the 4th quarter, drawing in a shooting foul for the Hawks to obtain their first lead of the game. With 4 minutes left, he came on the court hitting Luka with an in and out, floating the ball into the rim. The next possession, Trae crosses over to the left towards Vince Carter before spinning back past Dennis Smith Jr. and hitting a heavily contested layup over Kleba. Kent Bazemore closed out the game with a pull-up jumper and a slam after a screen from Alex Len, and the Hawks won the game 104-111. Trae Young finished with 17 points and 5 assists, shooting 25% from the field, and Luka finished with 21 points, 9 rebounds, and a 1 steal along with a block on 39% shooting. They next met up on December 12th, over 25 games into the season. At this point, the roles were beginning to become fully established, with Luka beginning to run the offense more than he had previously. In this game, Trae was much more consistent offensively because at this point in the season, he had been averaging about 16 points and 7 assists, but was shooting 38% from the field and 24% from 3. He played his role in the offense, making good reads, which resulted in his 10 assists. Whether it was running the baseline to draw defenders in before kicking it out, or hitting his shooters out on the perimeter for threes, he played a large part in keeping them in the game. He also made multiple finesse layups and floaters, emphasizing his ability to make up for his lack of size. Luka in this game demonstrated his tough shot making ability, as well as his ability to make cross-court passes. The offensive versatility he displayed allowed for him to draw defenders in, making it easy for him to set up his teammates. The game ended 107-114, with the Mavericks securing the win. Trae finished with 24 points and 10 assists on 58% shooting, and Luka finished with 24 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists on 36% shooting. Overall, I'd say both improved from the previous matchup, as they looked more comfortable with the ball in their hands. The next time they would meet would be 2 years later on February 3rd, 2021. The Hawks were 10-10 and the Mavericks were 8-13. Both teams were looking to make a playoff push this year, Luka previously making the playoffs for the first time in 2020. In the 2 games which they would face each other that year, Luka was out with an ankle injury which extended their next meeting. With about 2 years between their last meeting, there would obviously be some roster changes. The Hawks had traded for Capella and drafted Cam Reddish, DeAndre Hunter, and Onyeka Okongwu, while the Mavericks had traded for Kristaps Porzingis. Within these 2 years, both players had already rose into the position of stars and even had a historic number in their second year, with some of the highest average points for an NBA sophomore. Luka scored 17 points in the first half, hitting a step-back 3 to end the second quarter. Trae had a slow start with only 6 points, but facilitated 5 assists. He hit a deep three with 43 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter to reduce the Mavericks' lead to 3, including attacking the rim right after, but the Mavericks still won the game 122 to 116. Luka performed his best out of the 3 matchups they had so far, recording 27 points on 40% shooting, 8 rebounds, and 14 assists. Trae Young had 21 points on 44% shooting and 9 assists. The two would meet again on February 10th. So far out of their 4 games they have played so far, this was by far the best one out of all of them. Luka had a 28-point triple-double on 50% shooting, while Trae Young scored 25 points along with 15 assists, although he shot 36% from the field. Both players facilitated their offense as well, with the Mavericks winning 117 to 118. Just like last season where Luka established himself as a future superstar in the league, going 7 games with the Clippers and preventing the Mavericks from going down 3-1 with a step-back 3 to win the game, this season would increase the attention on Trae Young and the Hawks as they surprised everyone with their playoff run led by Trae, making it all the way to the conference finals. On October 21st, 2021, the two would face off again for the first game of the 2022 season. The first half was relatively close, despite both players struggling offensively with 4 turnovers each. The Hawks would pull away in the second half, winning 87 to 113. Trae ended with 19 points and 14 assists, but shot 38% from the field, while Luka scored 18, 10, and 7, but shot 35% from the field. Their second meeting of the season would be on February 6, 2022. Once again, a noticeable trend among their matchups is the lack of efficiency, where their impact lies in other areas. They'll shoot poorly but go out and get a double or triple-double, and it was the same for this game as well, where Trae Young scored 17 points and 11 assists, shooting 6 for 19 from the field and 0 for 6 from 3. Luka would score 18 points, along with 10 rebounds and 11 assists, but he would shoot 6 for 17 from the field. In this season, the roles for them would be reversed, with Trae Young and the Hawks losing in the first round to the Heat, while Luka Doncic and the Mavericks made it all the way to the conference finals. Just this last season in 2023 would be the last of their matchups up until now. On January 18, 2023, the teams would meet, this time the Hawks adding DeJounte Murray, looking to make a playoff run after a disappointing first-round exit last year. And once again, Luka was putting the team on his back to carry the Mavericks into the playoffs once again, though the team would make some moves very soon. The first half was pure dominance from Luka, who maintained the Mavericks' offense, attacking switches and creating mismatches to get to the basket. At the half, he ended off with 19 points and 5 assists. However, in the second half, he would go 3 for 10. Trae Young would have a Trae Young type of game, with her passing claims being out on display, dishing out 12 assists, already having established that he was one of the best passers in the league, especially in the pick and roll. He took only 11 shots, but the Hawks would still win 130 to 122. Trae Young had 18 points and 12 assists on 5 for 11 shooting, while Luka would go on to have a 30-point game with 8 assists on 9 for 19 shooting. The Mavericks would get Luka some help, trading for All-Star Kyrie Irving, a player that can create scoring opportunities on his own, but can also play off ball if needed. This helped even out the teams who play a somewhat similar style of play of running the offense through their main offensive engines with isolations and pick and roll sets. Their final meeting up until now was on April 2nd, 2023, which would be the duo of Trae Young and DeJounte Murray dueling with Luka and Kyrie. Kyrie would go on to score 41 with Luka next to him with 22, 7, and 7. Trae Young would put up 24 points and 12 assists, but once again the efficiency trend between Trae and Luka would continue, with Trae shooting 33% from the field and Luka shooting 38%. The Hawks would win 130 to 132, evening up the record between the two as 4-4 since 2018. If I were to choose who was the better overall player in these matchups, I would probably pick Luka, but only by a small margin. If you just show their stats in head-to-head games without the context such as their percentages, it would look pretty decent, but when put into context, it's not a pretty showing. In just efficiency and scoring prowess, they consistently fall off compared to their season averages. I even noticed watching these games that at the end of some of them, it's their teammates who are the ones stepping up to keep them in the game. Next season could honestly be the best we see out of them against each other, as Luka will have a full season with Kyrie to remove some of the load off of his back, and Trae Young may have a change in playstyle under Quinn Snyder's newly implemented system of off-ball movement. Right now, We're entering year 6 into their careers, so maybe I'll come back with an update based on a possible turnaround of their performances, preferably one to remember.